Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm joined by Chris.
Yeah, we are doing a tier list. We have chosen a few brands from the high horology back down to brands like Seiko, and we are going to put them in a tier list depending on how much we like the watch. So this will include how much we like the general aesthetic and also the insides of the watch.
Yes, so it's very biased. It's not what is the best, it's just what we think is the best for us, respectively.
Yes. And definitely, if you have anything against our choices, leave it in the comments down below. We always like to discuss. So let's have a look.
Get involved. Oh, Chris, before we get into it, What are you wearing today?
I am wearing my Steinhardt Ocean GMT because it's kind of rainy.
Classic.
These days.
Classic. I'm wearing my Casio World Timer for a change.
Nice. Okay, so here we have the tier list. So it goes from S, God tier, over excellent until F, which is trash. And we have a nice selection of watches. So of watch brands. So let's start with this Tudor. So do you want to have a go?
I mean, I have one myself, so I think it's in a way an excellent brand because they just make excellent watches for the price. But compared to the other watches that are there, I feel like maybe that's a bit much. Can we still change it afterwards?
Yeah, if you see that's like, completely wrong after, you can still change it. I would go with very good because I think they are a great brand, but a little lower than maybe some others we have. So then let's move right along with a heavy one. So Patek Philippe, do you want to go?
I think I will. So we're talking about what we personally think of the brand. Obviously it is an excellent brand and they make incredible complications, but I don't really care about that. So for me, I put it at very good.
Okay, I would put Patek Philippe in God tier, just because you have a lot of hand finishing, and I really like the time spent into one timepiece of master watchmakers, and also the complications you mentioned is something I'm very, very interested in. Okay, so next up we have Omega. Okay, so I would say Omega is better than Tudor, but thinking ahead, I would probably need the excellent A tier for other brands. So I will put it here with Tudor. But I would actually say that they are a little better than Tudor.
I mean, purely technically, they are a step ahead of Tudor. But since this is not purely technical, I'd say Tudor at the moment is just doing a bit more interesting stuff than Omega, so I'll put Omega at very good. But yeah, technically they are a step ahead of Tudor, definitely. People will hate me for putting Patek Philippe with Omega.
Under Tudor. So next up is a little smaller brand. I will go with this one again. I actually like Nomos for their technical aspect. I think they have very nice kind of entry-level, beautifully finished movements, but I'm not really that fond of their design. I like Bauhaus in general, but they are a little too understated for me. So I would put Nomos in good. How about you?
See, that's very interesting because for this one, it's one we can agree on in terms of the category. I'll put it in good as well, but not for the same reasons. So I can, again, like yourself, I can appreciate the technical aspect of Nomos. But what I actually can appreciate even more is considering the Bauhaus style, which is really not my style. It's too simplistic. What I find cool with Nomos is that they kind of make the Bauhaus style pop a little bit and they give their own element to it, especially with their orange hands or their blue details within the watch. I think that's really cool for a watch that's supposed to be classic. Would I get one for myself? Probably not, because it's just not my style, but I think. Is it a cool watch?
Yeah. I think it's a very interesting brand, which I'm not very interested in though, but I can see that's very different from other brands, I feel like. Okay, a nice one, Hublot. you start with this one.
So this is a funny one. It's a funny one because I've told this story 100 times, but when I used to not have any idea about watches, purely aesthetically, I was very attracted to Hublot simply because it was a style that I really like. I like how you're very at the low end of the classification already, but trash is very harsh. But considering their strategy, I'll put them to trash, because compared to a lot of the other brands that we have in here, Hublot is just by far not up there in terms of watchmaking and the finishing. And considering the price that they're asking, it's just absolutely ridiculous.
So for me, I never liked Hublot. I didn't like their style. I'm not that much of a fan of big watches like that, especially if they... I don't know, I feel like Hublot watches don't really have a soul. Hublot is definitely getting better with their movements. They are definitely starting to make better movements.
They're doing interesting stuff.
But I just think it was almost disrespectful, the kind of prices they asked for basically ETA movements in not excellently finished cases, and they asked more than 10,000 euros for them. So that kind of put me off of the brand very, very much. And I think this is the only watch brand we are going to class as trash. Obviously they are not trash, but
I mean, yeah, now they're even making like 10-day power reserve,
yeah,
and I think that's the more interesting mechanical stuff that they're doing.
Okay, moving on. This is actually my favorite brand, I would say. So I will start with this one. I really, really love A. Lange & Söhne. I think their finishing and the way just their movements look and just the architecture of their movements, it's completely crazy. I think they have the best case bags in the whole industry. And yeah, I really love the watch brand. I don't know if I would ever own one. They are very classic and very German design, but I think I would hope to one day own a simple 1815 or something like that. So I would put them in God tier.
See, this is interesting because I said I put Patek Philippe in very good, although I can appreciate what they do mechanically, but since I'm only really interested in one of their models, which is Nautilus, I put them there. With A. Lange & Söhne, I'd rather, although it's still a style which I wouldn't get directly, maybe one day I'll definitely want to own a bit of a more complicated classic watch, but I'd rather have an A. Lange & Söhne than a Patek Philippe classic watch.
Yeah.
And that's why I'll put it to excellent.
Okay, one where you can start off, Glashütte Original.
Glashütte, I think they're making really interesting stuff, also kind of going into the more modern diver type of hype with their CQ. I think that's a really cool watch that they made. Apart from that, they have good looking watches, but again, it's not something I'd get. So in that type of style category, I'd go A. Lange & Söhne every day. But Glashütte is great, but I'll put them to good because I'm just personally not interested.
I would have kind of the same classification here. I can appreciate that they use traditional watchmaking techniques and they have very nice movements. I just don't really like many of their watches because I feel like they are quite big and the styling is understated, but not like A. Lange & Söhne watches, which are understated, but still if you look into the detail there's crazy things going on. So I would also put them here next to their Glashütte neighbors at good. Okay, so this one you can start with, Richard Mille.
Anyone who knows me knows that I absolutely love Richard Mille. I just love how complicated they make things that don't have to be complicated. I'm a really sporty person, also in the way that I dress, and I think it's just a watch that would perfectly suit me, and hopefully one day I'll be able to own one. But I think they're just very cool watches. Their skeleton watches look amazing. It's a very kind of mix between industrial and modern design in one watch. Yeah, just super cool brand. It's God tier for me.
Yeah. So for me, I never was really a fan of Richard Mille, but I would put them in very good. No, in good. Okay, so the next one is AP. I was always a really big fan of AP. I love the Royal Oak, especially smaller models. So I would put these in excellent. How about you?
Yes, I wanted to put them God tier, but since the Royal Oak is really the only model I'm very interested in, and the rest it's not my thing, I'll put them to excellent.
Okay, leave out Tag Heuer. Breitling. I am not a fan of Breitling, never was. I like their newer stuff, the Premier line and the Chronomet and the Super Ocean, but I put them in meh because I really don't like their design language and just the type of watch they build.
So for me, I used to dislike them, but considering what they did in the last 5 years, I think they kind of really rebranded their style a bit whilst maintaining their design language, which is obviously important, but I think they made really interesting stuff, so I'll put them to good.
How about, what is your opinion on FP Journe?
Yeah, so in terms of style, it's really not for me, but I know that they are incredible watches, which is why I'll put them to very good, but it's just not for me.
I actually really like FP Journe. What I think is really interesting is how crazy recognizable their watches are. If you see one, you immediately know that's an FP Journe. They don't have the absolute best type of finishing. They have great finishing, just like AP, I would say. And I would also put them at excellent because their watches are just amazing. Okay, so moving on, H. Moser & C. I will take the lead on this one. I really like H. Moser & C. I think they make very cool watches, and I think I would also put them at excellent.
So for me, I don't really know a lot about the brand. I just know it's a high-end brand and they do complicated stuff design-wise. I just think they look very bad. So for me, it's bad.
Bad, okay. Okay, Seiko, obviously a very loved brand. I've never actually owned a Seiko. I think they are good, but it's not the type of watch I'm looking for right now or I'm interested in right now. So I think I'll put them at meh. But I still like them more than Breitling.
I mean, I love Seiko simply because they are making excellent watches for the price. You don't get an automatic watch for $100 that has a day date function and so on. I could go on
and
a
they're
lot
really
of
reliable.
I'll put them to very good. So I'll put Seiko with Patek Philippe.
Nice.
You can switch Patek Philippe and Tudor for me, please. I'll try not to be too antisocial here.
Try not to get cancelled here. Okay, so Rolex. Do you want to start?
The obvious one. Yeah, I mean, it's the obvious one, but considering that Rolex is the brand where I like most of their models, that does mean something. So to me, they speak a lot, although it's hype, but I put them to God tier simply because they make so many different models that I like, and no other brand manages to do that. So fair play to Rolex for that.
For me, I really like that the watches are so reliably built, and it's just a great brand in terms of marketing and everything, basically. I wouldn't want to own many of their watches. I like a lot of them, but I think I would be happy with one Rolex. I don't know, maybe when I'm starting to work or I'm starting to enter my work life, but that's why I put them here with Tudor and Omega, because I kind of see them as at the same level for how much I like them.
Put mine to excellent maybe. I want to keep the Richard Mille as long as possible on its own because it really is special to me.
Yeah, I know. Okay, Vacheron Constantin. I really like them. I think they are deservedly in the Holy Trinity, even though I think A. Lange & Söhne should also be in the Holy Quartet, I guess. So I will put them here in excellent with AP, FP Journe and H. Moser & C.
Yeah, if they had more than just the overseas that I love, I would put them to God tier. But since it's really just the overseas, especially the Everest version, I'll put them to excellent. I think that's a fantastic looking watch.
I think people should look more into these brands, Patek Philippe, Vacheron Constantin, AP, because they do have a lot of different models.
They have a lot of offerings apart from their hyped models.
Of course, not everything is for
but
everyone.
I'm guilty of it as well.
They are very traditional, of course.
Yes.
And the last one, IWC.
Yeah, for some reason, I mean, I never was into Flieger watches, but there's just something about their design language which really attracts me. And for one, it is their hands, their dials, and the clarity of their dials, which is very obvious for a Flieger watch. I think they're very good looking watches and they make reliable watches. I think they're good in their price class. They don't ask too much for what they do. It's a brand that's been around for a long time, and I would be excited to get to know more about IWC. So I'll put them to very good.
Very good. I am not a fan at all of Flieger watches, actually, because of the size, the big crowns. But I do feel like the legibility and just the ruggedness of these watches is cool. But I would not put them over meh. But I guess Breitling on the lowest part of meh, then Seiko, and on the top part of meh, IWC. Okay, I think that's it. And it's interesting, I chose a lot of good watches. That's why we don't have much at bad or trash, of course. Of course, none of these are actually bad watches, they are all great. But
what is the most shocking for you in my tier list?
I would say H. Moser and C. I think you don't know many of them. But yeah, what do you not like about their design? Because I think it's so cool that they have these like
everything
plain designs where there's nothing on the dial.
See, I think there are a few brands that are very simplistic, but I can see why they are still expensive, and obviously apart from the mechanical, I can see why they are appealing, but I think there's just nothing appealing about any H. Moser and C that I've seen so far. Any other brand you think I completely misplace in your opinion?
No, you changed Patek Philippe and Tudor, which was good. And other than that, no, this seems correct with what I know that you like and what you don't like. How about my side?
It's a very classic tier list in that sense. Maybe apart from, I wouldn't have expected for you to put Seiko that low, although you haven't owned one so far.
But yes, I think that's it already. We have quite different opinions about some,
interesting
and
video.
Pretty equal opinions about others, which is interesting.
Yes.
We actually placed a lot of things.
This is just our opinions.
We actually placed a lot of things in the same kind of section, if you look at it.
For maybe even for different reasons, interestingly. But
yeah, because we look for very different
same,
things in watches, I think.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. But yes, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this kind of format. And me and Nelly would definitely be up to do some more of this. So let us know in the comments below.
Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, guys. See you next time. Ciao.